Alright guys, what we're working on today is this RSM meter. This has been sent to me by a customer. So an RSM meter, well, it says here rev speed meter. I think this gets plugged into your ECU of your car. Not in the best condition, but regardless, we'll have a look at what the issue is here. So let me just bring up my email of what is actually wrong with this. Okay, I think this was sent by... Okay. Hi, can you have a look at this for us, please? It was all working and suddenly it has stopped working. The meter lights up but no display. Can you please check for us and let us know? Okay, cool. So this says it lights up. This email says it lights up but there's no display. Okay, so let's pull this apart and have a look what the issue is. Let's get rid of this box. And let's get some power to this meter gauge or something. Alright, so let me get my power supply ready. I'll pause you and I'll come back. Okay, so I've got my power supply ready. Now let me just trim these wires so I don't accidentally short them out. So let's get rid of this one, so all I need is basically the power and the ground. So this, I was reading up some info about this. So this runs off 12 volts, gets connected to your ECU. The display shows the RPM, the speed of the car, so it gets right wired up into your ECU, so it's like a gauge that displays on here. So that's all wired up. So let's see what did it say? It said it was all working and suddenly it has stopped working. The meter lights up but there's no display. Okay, let's get my power supply powered up. Okay, let's get 12 volts into this. Yep, so there's 12 volts there. So I don't know what it meant by it lights up. Okay, so you can see that green LED just in there. Is there a way to turn this on maybe? No? Okay, so let's pull this apart and let's see how to fix this. So let's disconnect our power supply first. I think someone's obviously been inside this. I think there's just two screws there, so Phillips. Let's get those out of the way. It's quite interesting the amount of things that can get plugged into a car ECU in terms of gauges and these meters. Anyway, so let's have a look. Okay, so if you're working on a board that you're not familiar with and you don't know how to test components or something, well, firstly you shouldn't be opening it, but regardless, if you're working on something that's new to you, always the basic rule is to check the fuse. So that's what I'm going to do first. So there's a fuse there, so got my tweezers. Alright, so that's a fuse there. So let's have a look at that first. Then there's your microcontroller. So I assume that stores all your information of whatever this gets coded to the ECU, and it stores all the data. So this one will probably be like a BIOS or something. There's ICs there, voltage regulators. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my multimeter on continuity mode. So that means when I touch my probes together, the meter makes a sound, so that's the mode that I have it on, so that one there, and it's my Fluke 115 that I'm using. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to check across the fuse, see if we get continuity. Okay, so we do have continuity. So, okay, and then I am going to have a look if it's got a short to ground. So the way I do this, if you have a look, that one side here is ground and the other side is power. So what I'm going to do is I will have a look on this side. So there's my ground, there's my power. So nothing's plugged in at the moment, so I'm just going to have a look if there's a short. So there isn't, so that's a good sign. That means that there is nothing that's shorted here. This section here. So the next thing I'll do is I'll follow my my positive rail and see where that leads to. So these resistors here, these diodes here, these voltage regulators here, these capacitors across the board. So first things first, I'm going to have a look at, so I'll plug my power supply in and I'm going to have a look at the power going to this board. So if I'm getting the right voltages, so go to volts, and from here to here. Alright, so I'm getting 12 volts. That's good. On the other side, I'm getting 12 volts, so that's good. Alright, so now, so from here to this diode, okay, nothing, and then there to this side, it's nothing. Okay, so let's trace this. So that section there goes past the Zener diode here, up to this section here, and then it goes to this here, and then back here. So I think that's the LED. Yeah, so that's the LED drive circuit. So that's the backlight, or the control knob lights. There's still nothing on the meter. So I'll put this here. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Okay, well, so let's put that meter there, and I'll just show you that I'm getting the right voltages. Okay, so you can see that, so that there, so I'm getting 12 volts, you see, and then I get 12 volts across here, and then get nothing on this side, 10 volts there. Okay, so let's trace this fault. So the way I do it is I'll just follow my positive lead and then see where it goes. So it goes there, goes up here. So if you notice, because I don't have a schematic for this, then what I tend to do is I look at my voltages if they are present, and then I follow my positive lead and see where that takes me. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll just get a good ground here, and I look here, so I'm getting 12 volts. I look here, I am getting 12 volts. There's 12 volts there, there's 12 volts there, and then that leads all the way up to this section here. So there's no voltage here. Okay, so there's 12 volts there, but there's no voltages on this side. Okay, so there's 12 volts on that side, but there's nothing on this side, so my meter is still dead. Okay, so let's disconnect the power supply and let's check for a short. So the way I'm going to do that is I am going to get my continuity mode again, and I am going to look across here. So there's a short, there's my meter beeping away. That should be okay, so that should read 2.2 ohm. So let me just find out exactly what that SMD resistor means. So I'm pretty sure, so that R stands for, so this R stands for like a decimal point. So I'm gonna put it on my ohms mode here, and let's check that. Yeah, so that's 2.2. So that's not shorted. The only reason my meter's beeping is probably it's just got a low resistance. That's why. So so from the pad to that pad, from that pad to that pad, there's no continuity. But from the resistor, across the resistor to resistor, there's a continuity. So I think because I'm getting power up to here and there's no voltages on this side, or rather there's no voltage drop on this side, and I think this is pretty much responsible. So it goes here to the capacitor and then to this resistor here. Let's check this. So let me go into my ohms mode. So this is 471. Yep, so my meter's showing 470. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder this back on properly, because I feel that that's not making a good contact there. So because the reason I say that is because I'm getting voltage from here, 12 volts, 12 volts, 12 volts, and then across this diode here, and there's my line, and then it comes to this point here, but there's no voltage across here. So if there's no voltage across there and there's no ears to take it on the other side apart from this here, I'm just going to solder that on properly, and maybe it's just got a dry solder joint. I don't suspect this, because if there's no voltages, that's not going to work, and I don't suspect that either, simply because again there's no voltages to this section here, so that's not going to work. If it's not getting its respective 3.3 or 5 volt signal, it's not going to turn on and the meter's not going to come on. So because my fuse is okay, and again the voltage is coming all the way down here, I am just going to solder that, simply because of the dry solder joints, I suspect. So you know, there's no other place that this goes to. So let me take this out, let's have a look. There's a little mark on the screen on the left hand corner. I don't think that's got to do with anything. I think that might just be a LDR or something. So let's get some power to this. And yeah, you see those LEDs are lit up. This capacitors will be the next thing I'll check. So there's no display at all. Okay, so let's do that. Let's disconnect my power and let's just reflow that section there. I would do it through the hot plate, but because there's an LCD screen on it, I don't want to damage the screen. So let's do that. Let me grab my soldering iron. Okay, let me get a bit of flux. And so I don't have anything plugged in, so let's apply a bit of flux on this side and a bit on this side. Let's grab my iron. And a bit of solder. Right, so let's solder this side first. Oh wow, okay, so that just moved. So that's not even sitting on there. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, since I have it out of circuit, I'm just going to check this. I'm just going to check the ohms. Yep, so 2.3, 2.2, 2.3, yep, so that's good. That one's working okay. So there's my multimeter, and let me just squeeze in there. .6, 2.5, yeah, so that tells me that this resistor is good. It should be 2.2, but because of the resistance of my leads and so and now what I'm going to do is I will check a short across this terminal and see if I have a short here. So let me see if I have a short here. So there's nothing. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so let me, yeah, sometimes it happens with the temperature inside the car being hot and cold and hot and cold. Things do expand and retract at a different rate. So sometimes these solder joints do become like that. So let's, you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to apply a bit of solder to the fresh solder to these ports. Okay, let's grab my resistor. And let's do that. So it's always hard doing this with the camera in front of me. That's good. Okay, now that should be okay. Let's clean that up with a bit of IPA. Not too much because I don't want it getting on the screen. So just spray it on my brush. And let's just do that. Okay, that's good enough. Let's clean it up a little. Just apply a little bit solder on this side because I'm not happy with it the way it is on this side. Okay, that's good enough. Now let's have a look. Okay, so let's grab my continuity. See, that's beeping away. Oops. Yeah. Okay, and then let's have a look at the ohms. Yeah, that's fine. So 2.6, 2.4, 2.3. Alright, let's plug in our ground. and power. Let's see what do we have, what sort of results do we get. So let's plug that up. Let's have a look. Still nothing. Okay, so what I did was I removed this resistor again because I feel these, if you have a look underneath this, there's a lot of goo. I don't know what that is, and it's quite sticky, so I'm just going to give this area a good clean again, but this time with my acetone. And let's see what sort of results do we get, because it didn't come on again, and I'm still getting no voltages on the other side. So let's clean that thoroughly. So I don't know what that is. So on the other side of this, so I'm just gonna hold that down, get it clean. Maybe someone's played around with this prior to giving it to me, so which is most likely the case, but regardless. Let's give this a good clean. You shouldn't need to, but who knows, it might just be that. That should be good enough. Let's clean this. Okay, and let me just grab my plate. And I am going to tin both sides of this prior to putting it on the board. This resistor seems to be working, but it's not entirely making a contact, so I don't know what that goo was or is. Someone tried to put some epoxy on it or something. Regardless, get my solder, and let's just tin one side. It's a lot better. Trying to hold this component, it's very hard. It's trying to jump all over the place. Okay, I see what the problem is here. Alright, so have a look on this side. Let's get you into focus first. Alright, you see this side's got a pad, and you notice this side's there's nothing underneath it because my solder doesn't catch onto it, so that's going to be a problem. But not to worry, because this side's good and this side's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlap the solder on this side so it catches on. So let's grab my board. You could do this if you can find another 2.2 resistor, 2.2 ohm resistor, then you could do that, but I don't have one right in front of me. I'll have to go hunt for it in my box of electronics, but let's do this. So let's get it on there. Right, And now I'm just going to come across, supply a bit of flux. Apply a bit of flux, and I'm just going to overlap. Position you better so you can see. Okay, and so I'm going to just apply flux and solder. Yep. Same thing on this side, just overlap it. Okay, that looks better. Okay, now let's plug it up and let's see what sort of results do we get. Okay, it's plugged up. Hey, look at that. It's back to life, so it's working. Apexi RSM meter. Okay, I don't know what this does. I don't want to play around with the settings too much just in case I reset something and that's already plugged in for the computer. So that's pretty much it. So remember, follow the voltage. So it comes in from here, 12 volts, there's ground, comes in here across that fuse. If the fuse is blown, replace the fuse, check again. Comes down here, there's an ear that takes it on the other side, and then there's a diode, takes across the diode to this junction here, should still have 12 volts, and then from here it takes it across here. So always check this resistor, and then that's where it sections its voltage across to these regulators and then to the other side. So that's pretty much it. That's how you repair this, short and simple, easy. So that resistor there, if you feel that you're not comfortable enough to overlap that, then just grab another 2.2 from RS Components or JCar and just solder that in. But that's pretty much it. So that's how you repair that. Hopefully this has helped somebody out there, and thank you for watching.